Have you ever been told that some foods, even super healthy ones, just shouldn't be eaten together? Well, today we're diving deep into an ancient Ayurvedic concept called Viruddha Ahara. It's all about incompatible food combinations and how avoiding them can seriously optimize your digestion and health. I mean, think about it, right? Fish is good for you, milk is good for you. But according to this ancient system of medicine, putting them together in the same meal is one of the biggest mistakes you can make. Stick with me, and by the end of this, you'll know exactly why that is. Okay, so here's our roadmap. We're going to start with the absolute core of Ayurvedic digestion, this idea of a digestive fire. Then we'll get into the actual rules of what not to mix. We'll look at some famous, or maybe infamous examples, see where modern science chimes in, and wrap it all up with a practical checklist you can actually use. So before we can even talk about the rules, we have to understand the entire system they're built on. And it all begins with this powerful idea of a biological fire that's literally powering our entire digestive process. And that fire is called Agni. Now, this isn't just a metaphor for stomach acid. In Ayurveda, Agni is the whole spectrum of metabolic energy that transforms everything you eat into fuel for your body and gets rid of the rest. The number one goal is to keep this fire burning strong. Because if your Agni is weak, you get this. Ama. You can think of Ama as the villain of this whole story. It's this sticky, gunky, toxic sludge left over from food that wasn't digested properly. And according to Ayurveda, it's this gunk that clogs up your system and is the root cause of so many diseases. And finally, overseeing everything are the three doshas, these fundamental energies that govern our bodies and minds. True health is all about keeping these three in balance. The wrong food combinations? Well, they're believed to throw your doshas completely out of whack, which weakens your Agni and creates more of that toxic Ama. See how it's all connected? And just to show you how deep this goes, the concept of Agni is incredibly detailed. It's not just one big fire in your belly. Ayurveda actually identifies more than a dozen different types, from the main one in your stomach to tiny metabolic fires happening inside your individual tissues. It's a really sophisticated, interconnected system. Okay, so with that foundation in place, let's get to the main event, Viruddha Ahara. This is the official name for these bad food combinations, the ones that start a conflict in your body, put out your digestive fire, and churn out all that Ama we just talked about. And this isn't some new idea, not at all. This definition right here is from the Charaka Samhita, one of the foundational texts of Ayurveda that was written centuries ago. It literally frames these combinations as being in direct opposition to how your body wants to work. So to make this a little easier to grasp, we can break down these incompatibilities into three main types. First, you've got a potency conflict. That's mixing foods with opposite energies, like superheating and supercooling. Second, a processing conflict, where the way you cook something actually makes it harmful. And third, the one we're really focusing on today, a combination conflict. All right, let's make this real. We're going to look at the most famous, most cited examples of incompatible food pairs. You could call these the big three. First on the list, milk and sour fruits. Think about your classic strawberry or orange smoothie. The problem here is the fundamental clash of qualities. You have milk, which is considered sweet and cooling, going up against sour fruits, which are acidic and often have a heating quality. So from an Ayurvedic perspective, what's happening is that the acid from the fruit makes the milk curdle inside your stomach. This creates this heavy, undigested lump that your body just can't process, and boom, you get Ama. Fun fact though, there's an exception. A really ripe, sweet mango is often considered okay because its qualities are actually more in line with milk. And here we are, back to the big one we started with, fish and milk. This is the textbook example of a potency conflict. Fish is seen as having a very heating energy, while milk has a distinctly cooling energy. So when you eat them together, you're basically giving your digestive system two completely opposite sets of instructions at the exact same time. The ancient texts do not mince words on this one. The warning is that this specific combination messes with your blood and clogs up the body's microchannels. For centuries, it's been linked to the development of skin problems over the long term. Now, while modern science doesn't show any immediate toxic reaction, the Ayurvedic view is all about the subtle, chronic stress it puts on the system. Now, for something really fascinating, let's look at a case where this ancient wisdom seems to have a pretty compelling parallel in modern chemistry. I'm talking about the rule against heating honey. The Ayurvedic rule on this is crystal clear. You never, ever cook honey. When it's raw, it's considered this amazing healing food. But the moment you heat it, the belief is that its molecular structure changes, transforming it into a type of ama that is incredibly hard for your body to get rid of. And the texts are incredibly specific, pointing to a temperature threshold of about 40 degrees Celsius or 104 Fahrenheit. Once honey gets hotter than that, a chemical shift starts to happen, and its classification literally changes from wholesome to something potentially toxic. Well, guess what? Modern science has identified a compound called HMF that forms when sugars, like the ones in honey, are heated up. Now, we eat HMF in small amounts in lots of cooked foods, but lab studies on very high concentrations have shown it can be damaging to cells. It's a pretty compelling link between an ancient dietary law and modern biochemistry, right? Okay, so this is all really interesting, but what are we supposed to do with all this information? Let's bring it all down to earth and create a simple, practical framework you can use every day. Look, this isn't about deprivation. It's about making smarter choices. So instead of a banana milkshake, which is often considered a heavy combo, you could try a delicious date and cardamom shake. Instead of putting honey in your boiling hot tea, maybe use a little maple syrup. It's all about making these small swaps that work with your body instead of against it. So here it is, a quick little mental checklist you can run through. Are you about to have an ice-cold drink with a steaming hot soup? Are you mixing milk with something salty or sour? Did you just pour honey into your scalding hot tea? It's just about taking a second to bring a little more awareness to what's on your plate. So when all is said and done, the real goal is just to protect your Agni, that digestive fire. Try to avoid those crazy, jarring contrasts in a single meal. Add delicate things like honey after the cooking is done. And, maybe the most important rule of all, listen to your own body. If a certain combination always makes you feel bloated and tired, that's your body giving you a clear signal. This is a framework for awareness, not a list of unbreakable laws. And that really brings us to the final thought. Maybe the true wisdom of this ancient system isn't about memorizing a long list of forbidden combos. Maybe it's just an invitation to pay closer attention, to really understand that how and when we combine our foods can be just as important as the foods themselves.